And years ago, I worked with a company, and the structure of companies always interests me. I'm interested in psychology and philosophy and power and control and how it all works
Mm-hmm.
together. And I asked somebody, okay, who is your boss? They said, oh, this person is my boss. Okay, I said, who's his boss?
Mm-hmm.
I said, don't know. I said, you don't know? I said, I don't know. I said, isn't it important to you who your boss's boss is? No, no. Okay, fair enough. Everybody has a different opinion about things. Okay. What about your boss's boss's boss? Who's that?
Mm-hmm.
Don't know.
Yeah.
Because, and I said this is important. This is interesting for me because I always want to know who am I working for. I just want to know who am I working for because I want to work for the right person, right? Don't want to work for an idiot, right? I want to work for nice people. I want to work for good people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I could not find anybody in the company who actually knew who they were working for. They
Mm-hmm.
knew what they were doing, but they didn't know who they were doing it for.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody knew. So if this is the norm, if this is normal, because it seemed to, from my analysis, it seemed that they were normal because they were the 99% and I was the not normal. I was the 1%. Like I'm like, okay, I want to know. I'm
Mm-hmm.
curious, I want to know.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so to be normal is to be blind.
Mm-hmm.
That was my conclusion. To be normal is to be blind, to not see, to think that what you have really, really, really matters in terms of objects and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's hard to believe. I think people. I know the past was harder, but I also think that a lot of people were happier there in in that time. But that's beside the point. Everything for the last 100 years, since the League of Nations. The League of Nations was the first version of the United Nations. The League
Mm-hmm.
of Nations was founded at the end of the First World War. And
Mm-hmm.
the aim of that organization was to create a corporate government for the world. And I like that idea. I like the idea of let's all get together and work together. I like
Mm-hmm.
that idea.
Yeah.
But question, who is at the top? Who is at the top of the pyramid? Who are they? What is their plan? What is their agenda? What are their ideas? Are they good? Are they bad? Do you know anything about them? Does anybody know anything about them? Do they exist? Are they numbers? Are they robots? Are they machines? Have you seen them?
Mm-hmm.
It's who are all these people on the social and internet sites? Are they real? The actual statistics show that unfortunately most of them are not real.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's it's all machines. They're programmed by people, but the machines are running things. Machines are running the factories. Machines are answering the phones.
Mhm.
Machines will be driving the cars.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, cars. Yeah, machines will be driving the machines because cars are machines. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's um. It. In hindsight, looking backwards, everything is clear to
Mm.
see. Looking forwards, it's a little bit more. It's a little bit more complex. And the nature of life is that you must let people do what they will do.
Mhm. Mhm.
You must give them a choice. And if they do
Mhm.
something bad,
Mm.
that is their
No
choice.
problem. Mhm.
If
Mhm.
you start if you start to stop it before it
Mm.
happens, that's a dangerous area.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yes.
That applies to health care as much as anything else, right? It's not wrong to be preventative, but there's also a big question mark as well over all of the ethics. There was probably one of the biggest wars in history.
Mm.
Nobody ever talks about it. Nobody ever talks about it. One of the biggest wars in history was the war between homeopathic medicine and
Mhm.
allopathic medicine.
Mhm.
That was the
Mhm.
great war of the 19th century,
Mhm.
where there were doctors who practiced
Mhm.
natural
Mhm. Mhm.
medicine and
Mhm.
healthcare, and there were
Mhm.
doctors who used chemicals, alchemists.
Mhm. Oh, doctors who use homeopathy are they are less many than doctors with chemicals.
Yeah, well, there's a very strong reason for that. Number one, they're paid more.
Mhm.
Number two, the system is designed to create these people.
Mhm.
Number three,
Mhm.
um, most medical education is about the
Mhm.
pharmaceutical element of
Mhm.
education. And number
Mhm.
four, a lot of homeopathic doctors and scientists and people in that area have been murdered. They've been killed.
Mhm.
This
Mhm.
week, this week, a famous vaccine researcher died in mysterious circumstances. This week,
Yeah.
yeah, in the United States, where a famous researcher died, was found dead. Yeah, was
Mhm.
found dead. Um, and there are hundreds of examples of of this um, because it's part of the dark side, right? It's part of the dark side. Not all not all
Mhm.
medicine. I don't want to say what is good and what is bad. I don't want to make that
Mhm.
decision personally. Um, and it it's obvious. Stop and think. It becomes clear. Clarity. Clarity matters. Having clear thoughts
Mhm.
and understanding. Most media and information is designed to be like noise in our heads. Oh my God, this says this and this says this and I don't know and oh, it hurts and I don't want to make a decision and leave me alone.
Mhm.
That is the purpose of media. The purpose of media is to leave you confused. Oh my God, what if, what if, what if, oh no.
Mhm.
But they never ask any of the real important questions, because what's good is obviously good, and what's
Mhm.
bad is obviously bad. Um, there's there is a massive problem with our movement away from Christian culture.
Mhm.
Christian culture has been subjugated. It's been taken and controlled by other people now. Churches are not churches anymore. They are charities.
Mhm. Mhm.
They have priests and Bibles and buildings and ceremonies. But they're not actually
Mhm.
churches.
Yeah.
They're charities.
Mhm.
Now, there's nothing wrong with being
Mhm.
charitable,
Mhm.
but you have to look at the reason why things are being done, the reason why things exist. And when we lost that understanding, when and we're losing it more and more, we're more and more distracted, we're more and more distant. I am helping some universities prepare documentation for how they are going to change the structure of their universities.
Mhm.
And this should be a good thing because I consider myself a coach.
Mhm. Mhm.
I I consider myself a coach. I'm not the best coach in the world, but I'm not the
Mhm.
worst coach either. And I knew this was coming. I knew this was coming because there's a movement in education away from factual information.
Mhm. Mhm.
There's a movement in education away from factual information. Well, what does this mean? It means that teachers are not educators anymore. And there's lots of
Mhm.
different words, you teacher, coach, tutor, whatever.
Yes.
Um, but they're not really educators anymore
Mhm.
because they're not experts in their subjects.
Mhm.
They're not experts in their subjects.
Mhm.
And the result of this is the transformation of educators into coaches who will shape the students emotionally for their next step. They will
Mhm.
ensure that the students are happy and
Mhm.
satisfied.
Mhm.
And this is dangerous
Yeah. Mhm.
because it is in a framework of, I mean, it's perfectly designed. It's beautiful because it's in a frame of critical thinking.
Yeah.
It's
Yes.
in a frame of critical thinking, and critical thinking is important, and everybody knows it's
Mhm.
important, and nobody will argue against it because it's critical thinking.
Mhm.
But it's not information based. It's not even experience based. And what does experience mean anyway if all you know is what you are told by other people? I mean, you can't verify anything.
Mhm.
Like it wasn't until I was 18 that I realized that a lot of what adults had told me was just rubbish. It was just rubbish.
Mhm.
I believed everything. I believed everything my mother said. I believed everything my father
Mhm.
said. I believed everything the teacher said.
Mhm.
And then suddenly I learned that a lot of it was just not true. And I never even thought, I never even considered this before, that maybe adults didn't know what they were doing. As you've heard me very often say it, the kids are fine, it's the adults who are fucked up, right? So, so it's, it, it, and so I had that personal revelation when I went off to
Mhm.
university and discovered that
Mhm.
people who should know a lot more than me didn't really appear to know very much, um, which was quite strange. And so we see this, and we see people saying, well, it's not important. We're not using the people who have the wisdom to educate anymore.
Wisdom.
Wisdom. Wisdom is the knowledge that comes with time
Uh-huh.
and
Mhm.
experience.
Mhm.
Information is just information. Knowledge is just number. Wisdom is using the knowledge in the right way.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And we don't have we don't have old, wise educators anymore. We have young, energetic,
Mhm.
fresh entertainers,
Mhm.
but not people who really, unfortunately, know subjects in depth. And there's a move now, big move,
Mhm.
into coaching, which is
Mhm.
a social and emotional
Mhm.
transformation
Yes.
and a
Mhm.
movement away from education to inform people to make the and education to allow people to make the best decisions for themselves. We're not going to see that. We're going to experience groupthink. People will not be able to think for themselves. There will only be groupthink.
Mhm. Mhm. Yes.
It's
Mhm.
consensus,
Yes.
consensus thinking. And you see, the government is designed like that. Oh, 60% of the country want this, so we have to do this. Well, what about the other 40%? Are they not people as well?
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
This we have been shaped into this consensus thinking, and there's going to be just more and more and more. And as we have talked about before, it's numbers. Numbers are statistics, and statistics can be manipulated. Oh,
Mhm.
80% of the people say that. Well, really? Do they? Oh,
Mhm.
90% of people are going to accept the vaccine. Really? Are they? Do they? Who did you ask? Which people? Where? When? It's
Mhm.
very,
Mhm.
very easy to ask a select
Mhm.
group of, like with the Pfizer vaccination studies. They've vaccinated I don't know how many thousands of people, and then took a section of that and studied the section of it.
Mhm.
So, and I think it was the results that they studied. They vaccinated maybe, I don't know, 20, 30, 40, 50,000 people. It's a lot
Yes.
for an experimental
A lot.
vaccination. And they took a sample of 8,000 and studied only that specific sample. So I, I would show you, but it's on my phone. So I was playing a game. Anyway, um, so yeah,
Mhm.
2 seconds, yeah. Okay, you're a star for doing that. Because I got the numbers. I've got the numbers in here. Because I just screenshot everything. There's so much
Mhm.
information.
Mhm.
Every time I read something, I double tap on my phone and it screenshots it. And